Welcome back to SHOT Show 2019. I'm Steve with Brownells in the booth here, live from SHOT Show. And with me, I have Dean Sylvester of Primary Weapon Systems.
Hey there,
Morning,
everybody.
Dean. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Nice to see you again. Been a while.
Good to see you, yes.
Yeah. So, Primary Weapon Systems, the piston people.
The
You
piston people.
guys
yes.
didn't invent the piston, but you sure perfected it in the AR platform.
We've done our best to mainly put the piston in the AR system, but then not lose the core of the AR system that works. The direct impingement has a lot of positive benefits,
it does.
And to just get the benefits of the piston, try to keep the same recoil impulse, dwell time, a lot of the things that made the DI rifles what they are, and just add cleanliness and add a lot more rounds in between cleanings is what we've tried to do.
And that's why you had such a big role in developing the AR-180 clone, the BRN-180, long stroke piston system. That is one of the slickest, smoothest shooting guns I've ever seen.
Nice, well thank you. Yeah, we're really happy with how it turned out. We've been working with Brownells for about a year on this. One of the first features, and I think you'll see more and more about this on the AR-180, is the fact that you can have a folding stock. All of your spring mechanism is up in here, so you have no buffer, no spring. This is on a law folding adapter, but the facts are is that there'll be more and more accessories come down the line that that this is really set up for a folding stock, down to the point that we put a small rubber bumper on the side for folding stocks to come against, so you don't create damage on the
Nice
upper
touch.
receiver. So yeah, it's going to be a big deal just in the fact that the springs are in here, and it's going to give everybody all the choices on the back of the AR that you have on some of the other rifle models out there. Another really cool factor that we put into this is, so we wanted to keep the DNA of the AR-180 in place, and a good part of that is the fact that it can only be disassembled when you have the carrier rods out. So, so when you remove the rear piece, it's actually molded into the carrier guide rods in this nylon piece. So this absorbs recoil, creates a transition from the traditional square AR-180 down into the AR-15 platform that's more rounded. One of the other really cool things it does is absorb the recoil impulse of the carrier coming back, which is actually lighter than a standard AR-15, but it also has interaction with that lower. So most of the lowers we've put it on so far, it's had a really solid fit, almost like a zero fit as you're putting it in and putting that rear pin in.
We've got about 4 guns here assembled, and they all just go together like they were mated from the factory.
And that's because of the plastic.
We just grab receivers at random, basically.
And we've put it on probably 10 different ones, different brands, different vintage. Every one has been pressed down tight, pin goes through, and it's a rock solid platform once it's on a lower. So AR-180, very much charging handle.
I'm sure a lot of people out there have never taken down an AR-180 because they're tough to find.
Honestly, I hadn't until we started this project and we brought one in. I hadn't really dealt with one directly. But you've got the charging handle that's kind of known for being kind of up the way it is, for giving you a shell deflector, and it kind of keeps your hand up as you're charging it to keep away from the dust cover door.
Right, you can hit yourself on it.
But when these rods come out, it allows this slide lock piece to come out. So these half circles interact with the top of that when it's put together, so that holds it in place when this is assembled. So on a traditional AR-180, if you've taken one apart, one of the coolest things they did is that everything rides on these rods. So you have this really rough rifle around it that's welded, but then you have these smooth contacts on the carrier rods and the carrier, so the gun just feels butter smooth, and yet you're holding this sheet metal, spot welded
on the old guns.
On the old guns, yes.
That's not the case here. The insides are nice on this gun.
Right, and the insides of this are all, but we're able to do extruded aluminum upper because everything rides on here, so all your wear parts are steel to steel. Right. So that worked out really well. But that is one of the key features, though, is you take these out and then that top cover comes off of the AR-180. This is a free float M-LOK handguard. It allows this to slide forward, and you can service the piston system and still have your free float aluminum handguard, but still have the standard DNA of the 180 of having to take those apart.
And that handguard is solid when you put it together. It doesn't have any wiggle in it.
So what we did is diameters. We have a very tight fit here, and we have a very tight fit on this top mounting bolt that holds the trunnion into the upper receiver. but this has a taper on it, so it comes to full diameter back. You can kind of see the wear marks.
Yeah, yeah.
So it allows, when you're putting it together, you come on to that first diameter, which is held really tight on the barrel, and then you can see it go down on this, and then there's a point where it kind of comes to a stop.
Right.
And then you have an interference fit as you push those parts together,
nice.
and that's what makes that handguard rock solid on there.
So if you mount something on for here, it's going to be the same place. It's going to re-register every time.
And it's one of the very few systems out there that is a toolless, free-float handguard.
That's the nice part. You don't need anything special. I think Paul once told me you could take a bullet to pry this out if it's stubborn.
Given tolerancing issues, you're going to have some that are going to be tighter than others. Just, a thou here or there makes a big difference. So when you have that, we have an area here for the tip of a bullet can go in. You can pry that out if it's tough to start with. Some may be, some may not, but it's not that big of a deal. It's already been accounted for. So,
Right.
So yeah, that's been one of the big factors. The rest of it is pretty much AR-180 inside of, we're able to do the low pro gas block because of the system, mimic the traditional system and keep it, very concise and small. I think weight-wise, we're running right in the same range as a 16-inch direct impingement upper. I think we're right in the game, I believe, from what Paul was saying. So weight-wise, you don't have to worry about, pistons have the erroneous reputation of being heavy. It's not really the piston system. A lot of it is the diameter of the barrel they've done to account for what problems the piston system has brought in. And this is no different. We've solved those problems there. It's a smooth shooter with a light carrier, and and it's great. You don't have to worry about having a super heavy piston gun, but yet you can be able to put on a skeletonized stock. There's lots of adapters out there for AR-15 lowers to put on the Picatinny rail mount and back. So now you can start putting all of the
braces,
different
stocks,
braces, anything that looks on that Picatinny in the back. So we're really, really excited to see how this.
It was a great move going with machining aluminum instead of working sheet metal. You get a better product and it costs a whole lot less to produce.
Right. Well, yeah, and it makes it affordable. The big thing too, the original 180 is it's. From a designer standpoint, they couldn't see past sheet metal. Everything in that rifle is sheet metal, down to the hammer, the trigger.
Right.
The bolt catch is sheet metal. So, to be able to look at the good parts of it and then take what makes sense for modern manufacturing, there's kind of a lot of surprises in the 180. For me as a designer, of just how many things were sheet metal, it was kind of nuts.
I'm sure if you're gearing up to build 5 million of them, it's much more cost effective. But to do it on our scale, this is a superior product at a much better price.
Yes, exactly. Well, and the fact that it fits on every AR-15 lower, so now you don't have a designated lower you've got to get that only takes certain accessories. The AR-15 platform has so many options out there from so many great accessory companies. It just opens up all of that world to you.
Now you and Paul over at FM Products had a little bit of a job squeezing this into an AR-15 lower.
Yes, and Paul was instrumental in the fact of coming from this square area from the AR-180, coming into a handguard shape that's appealing, being able to keep M-lock on all the sides, at least these top two, and then the bottom. So he was key at bringing in that design, of bringing that down into a handguard that worked, and plus the rear recoil buffer of bringing it in and making this square receiver, as you can see, looking to go from that shape to what's on the back of an AR-15 is not exactly an easy task.
No,
so,
not to make it look decent.
Yeah, exactly. So he was a huge instrumental help on that.
Paul's a man of many talents.
So these are going to be available at Brownells here in the next few weeks, and I know there's been a lot of media about them, but yeah, definitely take the chance, pick one up. Yeah, I don't think you'd be disappointed with it at all.
I wasn't a believer when I first heard the concept because I owned an original AR-180, and I was not impressed. When I see this version, now I'm a believer. It shoots so smooth and soft.
After spending hundreds of hours of design, you never know what, especially shooting it, you can only picture what it's going to do, and then you go shoot it and you're like, oh, that's a great recoil impulse. We did keep the original flash hider, so you have a bottom that's solid and just a 3-prong on the top. That holds the rifle really flat, but it's a really smooth shooting platform.
Very balanced. Very balanced.
And then the other thing too is after working it, you look at SolidWorks for that long, and I mean the facts are is that I knew it looked good and okay, but I didn't think it would look really good, which when you put it on the AR-15 lower, it still looks...
It looks like it belongs there.
It does. For a bunch of square shapes, it was... To make that transition, I'm really proud of how that turned out too. So.
And the piston itself, that's very true to the original, is it not?
It's almost identical.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you kept the good parts, and you improve the bad parts.
In fact, while we were getting springs made for this project, we actually ordered replacement AR-180 springs, and that's what we were doing the original testing with, since that's close.
You can still get those?
I guess so. They're still out there. I think they're an aftermarket, but we bought originals and put them in the upper end on the piston system, and they work fine. It's that close to the original.
All right. Well, believe it or not, Dean does other things besides build stuff for us. He's got his own product line here. Show me, show me this thing right. This is I like this concept here.
So this is something that we've been doing for years and years, and you know, with CAD work and what you can do with CAD stuff, the cutaways have kind of fallen out of favor. People just haven't put the time into them as a traditional old style military cutaway. So we started doing these, and we started getting a lot of good feedback. So this is just a red painted version of what we have. We also have an anodized version that we put out with the dealers. But this shows, you know, the fact that the piston system is truly different for PWS. We hook the rod to the carrier, the piston head to the rod. So all of that moves as one cycling component. So what you get is you have a large dwell time in the gas block to create that kind of cushion, that direct impingement type recoil impulse. And then the big thing you get too is that the rod is hooked to the carrier, hooked to the piston head, so you end up with a push type recoil impulse. At no point does a rod hit something high on a carrier, like a short stroke, and you create more of a
well, the tilting problem.
Right, so we reduce the carrier tilt. And the main thing is you just have that push recoil impulse that everybody talks about on the direct impingement rifle. So to keep that original core belief from that, reduce the wear on all the round-to-round surfaces that are in an AR, because you have a push from the bolt straight down the bore. You know, we're creating that push up high, so we have to accommodate that in several places, so we're not creating new wear patterns and just you know, unforeseen consequences.
Once you start to change it in a way it wasn't meant to work originally, you never know.
Exactly, and we've been through this system. You know, we've been doing this for a decade. Been through this system 2 or 3 times to try to make it better each time. Which, you know, I believe we have. We're making the best product we've ever made, more consistent, and just, you know, the more you know, the more you see different accessories used, the more things you know you have to account for.
A lot of the mystery has been taken out of it by your company.
So, so really, you know, what we see is that once people start owning PWS, they own more. It's more unusual that for someone to own a gun than it is to own 4 guns. You know, it's easy to get up here and do a sales pitch of, you know, you don't have to clean it as much. Yes, it's smooth to shoot. Works great with suppressors with the 3-position gas adjustment. But, you know, once we get people into that gun, that first one, there's no going back for them.
It's sweet shooting guns.
Well, we're just talking to somebody here that had doing a LE demo with a bunch of different other rifles. When they were done, they did 2,000 rounds suppressed. They cleaned the PWS carrier and bolt with 2 Kleenexes. 2 tissues. They wiped down the entire carrier because there just was not that much carbon back there, which, you know, if you've shot direct impingement suppressed, they're just dirty, or they still work, but they just require more maintenance. So, you know, in that vein of, once we have an owner, we're going to have an owner for multiple products. We've released the Pro Series here for the show. So traditional primary weapons, everything, your first instinct when you hear a piston rifle company has come out with a lower cost product, you think, well, they went to direct impingement. That's the normal standard response. The new Pro line is piston, and it is the same as our Mod 1, same carrier, same barrel, same gas block, same everything that you've gotten used to on the Mod 1. And what it really comes down to is, some of you remember that have been fans for a while, we did the Modern Musket series, we did the direct impingement rifles for a very short period of time. And the facts were we just were kidding ourselves by convincing ourselves that doing a direct impingement gun was really cheaper. If you use true military grade components, it's not any cheaper. You just have a different barrel, different gas blocks, all these different pieces and parts. So when we really started thinking about how to get a gun into, you know, new owners' hands, the answer was clear, the fact that let's make more of these components and make them cheaper.
Exactly.
So this reduces cost on all the other rifle models, so we can sell this one. This rifle retails at under $1,000. For a PWS rifle, if you're familiar with the brand at all, you know that that's a pretty big deal. And we just did it by saying, no, if we can make more barrels, more gas blocks, more of the piston system, we know that piston is better than direct impingement from a maintenance standpoint. We believe that. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe that make great high quality direct impingement rifles.
Yeah.
But we were going to stay true to kind of what we believe as a company. So, just volume right now, especially the market's down, there's a lot of deals to be had, both on the consumer side, but also on the wholesale side. So we were able to say, hey, what if I need twice as many of these? What's my price? So yeah, we were able to get it down and still deliver to the customer, what they're used to from primary weapons. So that's been a pretty big step for us. One thing we did do is we did an extruded upper receiver with still built-in shell deflector. We kept the radiant charging handle ambidextrous. Excuse me.
I use the radians on my guns. I do like them.
They have been great. We did a little simpler attachment between the handguard and the upper receiver. So bottom line is you have an extruded upper, which is a little cheaper to do. It's a little faster to machine. The handguard's a little simpler. The attachment system is rock solid yet simpler.
You still have your keyed indexing here.
Yep.
So there's no way to put it on wrong, basically.
Yep. It can be easily removed to maintain the system if you want, or you can just turn it to the X setting, take the gas adjustment knob out the end, and go ahead and clean it with a 40 cal brush. So you can do that, or you can take the handguard off. The lower is just the same as our Mod 1 lower. We just kept that intact. Same idea though. Why try to save a couple bucks on furniture when you can just buy more? So we're keeping with the Bravo Company furniture, which is fairly unique to our brand. There's not too many people.
Good stuff.
Yeah, they do. They make excellent stuff. So yeah, that's really the big release. We're making this in a 16-inch and an 11-inch version pistol. And the rifles and pistols are under $1,000, and the uppers are under $650 retail. So again, pretty big step.
That's pretty hard to beat.
And our goal as a company is we just need more first-time buyers. Hopefully this is going to get down the price point that's more affordable for people. Even a $300 or $400 difference on a gun, I mean, that's a lot of money to a lot of people. We're just trying to make sure that we're more accessible to a broader market. And then I know once you buy the first PWS rifle, that's just the first one you're going to buy, and it'll be the start of a long-lasting relationship like it is with most of our customers.
Once you try a nice piston-driven gun, it's kind of hard to go back sometimes.
Especially if you're running a suppressor, and you can turn that gas down. It's already in the rifle already. You don't have to buy another gas block, and it's ready to go. If you're running a suppressor, give us a chance, buy one of these uppers, put it on a rifle, and you'll see the difference very quickly.
And that market's taking off too.
Yes.
The suppressor market. We get requests anytime we come out with a barrel of any kind, like for a pistol or something. Is it threaded? Do you have a threaded version?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it goes on.
Yes, for sure. That's a huge step. So yeah, we started getting a lot of traction when more and more suppressors were coming on the market, and now it's just a matter of, we hear all the time from dealers that, we don't really sell that many $1,400 guns or $2,000 guns, but $1,000 rifles, they move some volume up.
That's a good price point.
It is.
Especially for what you're getting.
And considering you're getting all of the PWS internals, there's no difference between this barrel from a Mod 1 to a Mod 2. It's the same barrel, same expectations, same lifetime warranty. So that's kind of one of the biggest deals at the show for us, is to be able to get out there into a broader market. And
that's all it is. It's a matter of getting the word out. It really is.
Definitely. And then in that same vein, we also have worked with FM Products. With them on the PCC, we released this last SHOT Show. We didn't have these really available until mid last year, I believe. We've worked with them over the year for cost-cutting measures, ease of manufacturing. We've been able to get this product now under $1,000.
And that is a nice setup there.
Right, and this is the pistol version, and we sell a 16-inch version, both at the same price point as the Pro. Glock mags. Right. So that's, everybody's going to that. The one thing we got with the FM is we were able to license and use their last round bolt open.
Paul and I were talking about, he showed me that in detail, and they've come up with a really good system.
Very, very slick system. So we're very proud to be able to offer that on our lowers. And like I say, we've just worked together by casting different parts, being able to reduce the manufacturing time and get it under that $1,000 price point. But
I love this because there's no little sheet metal fingers that are going to snap off in the middle of a string or something.
And it makes sense when you have the cam up front here.
That's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, where it's
just like a pistol would use it.
a lot more robust system. So same billet lower. Yeah, I mean, really, it's direct blowback, same as most every other, 9mm in the AR platform. But yeah, as you can see, last round hold open. A lot of the lower cost ones don't have that option at all, or if they do, it's kind of sketchy.
Very sketchy. That's what's kept me from building a Glock style. I just build the Colt styles.
Yes. Yes. So that's probably one of our other biggest things at the show is being able to reduce that price point on the PCC line. So I think that pretty much covers everything I've got.
I was talking to Paul and I said, Paul, with this lower, is there any chance of making an AR 180 upper for it, like a 9mm? And he said, well, there's no reason why you can't.
No, there's no reason at all.
It's just time and money.
Yeah. Yeah, just the old
and he
time and money.
He refuses to tell me if you're going to come out with a short 300 blackout just for me.
I'm sure we can make you one.
There's no reason the system can't take it. I mean, it's all there, so it's just a matter of figuring out.
That we're absolutely looking at shorter versions of this as time goes on, because you're right, there's no reason. Gas system wise, there's no reason. The only thing is there's a couple challenges disassembly wise, because there's that long op rod.
Sure.
That has to come out and swing to the side. If you end up with a super short, you've got to get all that linkage out.
Oh yeah.
So that's, the gas system will do it. It's just the
you and him have solved bigger problems than that on this
we
project,
can figure it
so,
out,
yeah.
for sure. But for a truck gun as it is, you've got a 16-inch barrel. You can fold that stock to the side. As we move forward and do the different iterations, different calibers, different lengths, there really is no reason this can't move into a 9mm platform or any other. It's just getting this built, fully understanding all the ins and outs of it as a manufacturer. I mean, this was CAD models 60 days ago, so. Yeah. It's kind of like, let's get these out.
Speed on that.
Let's figure it out. Let's make sure we know what we're doing with this.
Even if you're trying to copy something to an extent, it's still just as difficult to get the thing to run.
And you're thinking about copying it, you're really only copying just the gas block.
And the concept.
Right, yeah, and we've got a 16-inch barrel instead of an 18, so we have less dwell time in the front, so you've got a little bit of accommodation there. Mating into the lower, that was critical because you have to have the same length of stroke as an AR-15. Even though you have the shape of an AR 180, which actually had a more stroke distance on the cycling stroke, so that all had to be kind of condensed and fit into the AR 15 platform. But I don't see over time, like you said, we've solved bigger problems. Paul and I can certainly figure that out and be moving forward with that.
Watching that thing shoot in the short amount of time you had to develop it, I mean, I'm amazed.
No, thank you.
It's just beautiful.
The
beautiful finished
PWS team came together and we pushed really, really hard to get this while you're working out the last bit of details and then have it ready to go into production here in the next few weeks.
You have some awfully good people working for you.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of really good people that were all hands on deck on this for the last few weeks. And then we're really proud of the finished product. I think it's going to do really well once it's released and get it out in the public's hands.
It looks good, shoots good, and comes in at a good price. I mean, that's the name of the game.
Yep, I think everybody will see success with that. Yep.
I want to thank you very much for coming by, Dean. And I know you weren't feeling the best today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm probably patient zero for everything you hear about at SHOT Show from here on out.
Yep. So we really appreciate you taking the time.
And you shook my hand, so you're going to definitely want to clean that up or do something with it. So.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And thank you all for watching. We'll see you again from SHOT Show Live.